You ever go to look up a game's value that you're interested in only to find it goes for ridiculous amounts of money? Well, that was the case for me when it came to buying Musha for the Sega Genesis. This was years and years ago too, and like a lot of games, it's only gotten worse. This game costs hundreds of dollars now. That's right, for just a single game, and that's even if all you're buying is the cartridge by itself. It wasn't a huge seller back in the day, but is pretty revered by retro gamers nowadays. So, of course, this led to it being a highly sought after game, and the price just kept going up and up from there. Really though, I think the biggest thing that sets this game apart from other games would have to be the music. Pretty much all of the tracks are extremely high energy and quite impressive. There's actually this idea out there that the Sega Genesis has bad sound, when really it just needed to be used the right way, and m.u.s.h.a is one of the shining examples that often gets pointed to when people try to prove this point, including myself. I mean, a lot of people probably don't even realize that the system is capable of music like this, or perhaps that any video game out there has music like this. Actually, something even the biggest fans of the Sega Genesis don't always know is that the sound for this console is actually really difficult to replicate with 100% accuracy. And so playing an original cartridge on original hardware is pretty much the only way to accurately listen to this game's music. Though I should say that other methods will likely be close enough for most people. But enough about sound. What about other important things like how the game looks and how the game plays? Well, the game is what a lot of people like to call a shoot 'em up. The definition of what that means can vary, but usually it's a game where you operate a little spaceship or something, and you move on a fixed path with a screen that either scrolls vertically or horizontally, as you try to shoot pretty much anything that moves on screen. Oh, and by the way, these shoot 'em ups just so happen to be a genre that people love to collect. And the games on this system generally tend to be horizontally scrolling shooters, whereas m.u.s.h.a actually scrolls vertically, thus making it stand out even more. Plus, the cover art really sticks out compared to other Genesis games in my opinion. In m.u.s.h.a, you're actually not a little ship or plane, but instead a flying mech. Visually, the game is pretty impressive with all sorts of stuff flying around the screen for you to shoot and blow up. However, you don't want to be completely mindless while playing this game. You see, like many shoot 'em ups, there are different power-ups that you'll want to pick up, and actually some that you may want to avoid. Let me explain what I mean by that. There are different colored icons that can give you an additional secondary weapon, and if you stick to collecting just one certain colored power-up, then you will increase the power and effectiveness of it. If you don't stick to one color, then it will actually just change what type of power-up you have, leading to situations where you'll actually want to avoid certain colors. This aspect is actually similar to other games of the era. My personal favorites are the green icon, which gives you this really powerful laser beam type weapon, and I also found the blue power-up to be useful because it serves as a shield. And who doesn't like shields in games like these? I don't like the red power-up as much because it gives you some extra firepower that can actually be kind of difficult to distinguish from a lot of the rest of what's on screen. And speaking of what else is going on, there are other power-ups you'll want to be looking out for as well. Every now and then these little pod looking things come on screen, and if you shoot them, 4 smaller little power chips will pop out of them. You'll want to pick these up because these not only increase the firepower of your main gun, they will also give you these little extra guns, called options, that surround you. So they not only add extra firepower, but they also protect you, and you can even collect reserves for backup and change the formation they're in. Okay, so as you can tell, there's actually a lot you'll have to think about in this game. But it probably sounds more complicated than it actually is. Everything feels pretty intuitive once you get going along playing the game. It's a very accessible game in that regard as well. Whether or not you understand all the mechanics, the basic idea is simple, and you'll likely figure out the more subtle things as you play. So there you have it, great game but expensive as heck. What's kind of a bummer too is that it wasn't included on the Sega Genesis Mini. That really sucks. The only other way you could get this game besides the original cartridge, at the time of this video at least, was on the Wii Virtual Console, which is now shut down. so yeah, that ain't happening. Also, don't be fooled by all the cheap bootlegs you see of this game online, unless you just really don't care, I guess. Okay, so for this week's question, since so many people have never played this game, I'm going to ask what you would be willing to pay for a physical copy of this game, just based on what you've heard about it. Or you can just share your general thoughts. So as always, let us know down in the comments, and I will see ya in the next video.